I'm Carlos Correa. Welcome to Fronteras, a Changing America. On the program, Christopher Velasquez, a local filmmaker who's sharing with us his latest project, what it has to do with the borderland and its tie to the Twilight Saga. Plus, the film's script consultant joins in on the conversation. But first, making acting into a career. Local people are learning it's never too late to follow your dreams. There are many things 25-year-old Ivan Aguilar is hoping to accomplish before he reaches a certain age.
I think for me it's kind of like, it means something to people. So like if I do decide, or if I, not decide, but if I do get up to where I'm at, I want to be like a role model for mainly just kids and people just around the world. Just do something that really means something. Not just, I mean, I could do something in the community, yes, but I want something global.
Ivan once thought about pursuing a career in civil engineering. But things changed when he joined the El Paso Acting Studio.
I wanted to do this since I was little.
The group meets every week at the home of actor and acting coach Todd Carroll. Students learn the ins and outs of the business, a powerful tool that helps them succeed.
In the beginning, yeah, in the beginning it's nerve-wracking, but you have to learn how to control your nerves, and that's really the biggest part that's, for me, kind of controlling my nerves and trying to stay calm, because at the same time, it's nobody else but you.
Oh, you poor thing.
Okay, so say that line again.
The actors, some new, some seasoned, are teamed up. Together, they do their warm-ups before every session begins.
They're awesome.
They're not awesome.
They're really awesome.
They're not awesome.
They're great awesome.
It's not a huge acting hub here in El Paso. Instead of teaching individual classes like, say, the Meisner technique or acting through imagery or camera technique, it's kind of a potluck because of the number of students I have.
The students, mostly Hispanic, are enrolled in the class. After a few sessions, some realize acting isn't for them, but for many others, practice is how they become better at their craft.
I have to bring them down to earth and tell them there's no magic pill. 3 months is 12 classes. So here's my analogy. If I woke up one day and said, I want to be a brain surgeon, and I took 12 classes on how to be a brain surgeon, would you let me cut your brain open?
Acting isn't just about memorizing lines. Todd Carroll insists it's how you bring your character to life.
I auditioned for the lead, but I got the walrus.
Michael Wheelwright's first acting job happened in elementary school in the play Alice in Wonderland. He's received other offers since then, including a few local film roles.
For me, I think it's more about what you love to do, and like it's something I like to do. I love to do it. So why wouldn't I want to try to do it for the rest of my life?
While in the acting studio, students learn a little bit about themselves as they access emotions and overcome stage fright, all while gaining experience, confidence, and a few contacts.
I play a good guy, bad guy. Although I am a really good-natured person, I guess they say sometimes you can play your opposite really good. So I play quite a few bad guys and some good guys too. I like all of them.
Hector Dez has spent the last 4 years acting. He says auditioning for parts can be a grueling process.
I had to work on my English. I just went to an audition recently where the director basically told me, because of your accent, you know, I'm gonna have to work with you a bit and look at other actors. And I think personally that if it wasn't because of my accent, I would have gotten the role. I'm still working on it.
Taking an acting class helps with that. And experts in the industry say having a good acting coach can provide good, constructive, and personal feedback to help improve your acting abilities. They say getting in the industry won't make you rich and famous right away.
I've been pursuing this for 13 years, and I can honestly say I haven't made a single dollar. I've been paid for some of the shows I've done, but if I account for all my headshots, all my training, gas, you name it, I mean business cards, I'm in the hole probably 60 grand, you know, over 13 years, maybe more, I don't know. I don't want to add it up.
And then something I learned a long time ago is you do have to pay your dues in any industry, and something my next guest can talk a little bit about is local filmmaker Christopher Velasquez and script consultant Linda Sweigart. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about your film. How did you come up with the concept?
Well, Carlos, it's an idea that's been going in my mind since 2007. Essentially, I heard some executives talking about Hispanics in filmmaking, decided that's definitely the career road that I wanted to take. I wanted to make a film that not only benefited, you know, the film industry, but that benefited the community here, especially here in New Mexico, El Paso, Texas. So I wanted to make a film that dealt with issues that are very important to us on a daily basis, one of which is definitely immigration. So that's what I kind of made the backbone of my film. So it's an individual, his name is Tomas, comes in the United States from Mexico. His family's just been killed. He realizes he's lost everything. He lost them to a home invasion, so his family's completely gone. His house is burned down. He looks across of the border, sees El Paso, Texas, sees you know, the New Mexico area, and realizes that this is his opportunity to come across and make a better life for himself. So that would be a quick rundown of the film.
Now, prior to writing the script, did you have any experience in terms of formatting and writing an actual script for a movie?
Yes, I did. I've always been a typical film geek. So ever since I was a little kid, I'd pick up the camera, make small films, try my best to learn by doing, which I have a lot of like short film projects that I made, which are pretty horrendous looking back at them now. But that all kind of, it was all important in cultivating me into a young filmmaker. And it's really gotten and allowed me to make some progress in terms of my career and, you know, making a movie that's created buzz.
And then your movie deals a lot with immigration.
Yes.
And what a, I guess, great place to tell your story in El Paso, correct?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. You look at the culture here, you look at the people here. Even my family, you know, I had a grandmother who was an illegal immigrant. She came in from over there. Her story came from Santa Maria de los Angeles, Jalisco. She used to eat with pigs. So, you know, it was a very hard struggle coming into the States. I've also been fortunate enough to interview a lot of people. So that went into my research. I used ethnographic research. So through studying different people, getting interviews with them, and through my experiences, that's how I was able to develop my screenplay.
Linda, let's get you into the conversation. How did you two meet?
Well, I've been in El Paso for about 9 months, and I wanted to get the culture just started in film and screenwriting. So I've given about 3 seminars and presentations, and that's where I met Christopher. Actually, no, we met on Facebook.
On Facebook, yes.
Because I have a page called scriptforscreen.com, or you know, Facebook. And he emailed me. How did that happen?
I did, and at first I was a little bit reluctant because you know I've gotten great buzz and gotten a lot of support from people, so I was a little bit hesitant to take any part in any kind of screenwriting, you know, get any kind of screenwriting assistance. But I did go, fortunately, and Linda was able to definitely help me cultivate my skills and, you know, further my script. So definitely it has been a tremendous asset to the production. So Linda's definitely a great person to have on board.
He does. He has a great story, the Crossing of Tomas, and I think that what we were trying to work on with his script was character development and how to deepen the story and how to make it very poignant and how to make it pertinent to now. So he's doing a really good job doing that. I'm very proud of him. So we'll see how it turns out. I'm sure it's going to be really good.
How long did it take you to write the script?
It took me from 2007 all the way to towards the end of 2009 is when I actually finished it. And from 2009 to now has basically been, you know, searching for funding, trying to create a buzz about the project, getting people attached to it, and, you know, that's kind of been the journey.
How was, I know when people make films,
yes,
you don't stick with the final script. There's always revisions every shot.
Absolutely.
Was it like that for you guys?
Yes, absolutely. I've changed a lot of stuff. We've gone out and shot stuff that now we need to reshoot. But that's how it is in any production. You know, I was talking to you know, and Linda can attest to this. You know, even in Hollywood, like you're doing a huge production, you're always doing rewrites, trying to get the best possible script. And up to sometimes the day of the actual shoot, you'll have certain small changes that occur. So it's always in development.
Gotcha. And this character that you came up with, Tomas, where did you inspire? Where did you get the inspiration for him?
I was inspired by Tomas, and this was actually, you know, while I was in high school, I actually went to Juarez with some friends, and, you know, we were out at the strip, you know, where people go out and drink, and I noticed this little girl, and, you know, she was tugging on a bunch of people that were there partying, and nobody would pay attention to her, and I felt really bad about it. I tried to assist her. Of course, there's not much I could do. I was like 16. But that little girl stuck in my mind because I thought, well, here's someone that is being misunderstood, that everyone's rubbing her off. She doesn't have shoes. She obviously needs help. And that's kind of like what cultivated my character and why his name is Tomas, kind of symbolic for no mas, trying to make people aware of certain issues, especially dealing with immigration and you know, people, even homeless people, that, you know, sometimes you kind of brush them off. People tend to do that, and it's kind of like giving them a voice, being, you know, next time you should be more careful because you never know who that person is or what their backstory is about. So that's definitely what motivated this character.
Now, your film is, as I mentioned earlier, is getting a lot of buzz.
Yes.
Why is that?
I believe that it's because of the hard work and the passion that's being fueled into it, especially from my cast and crew. They've been absolutely tremendous. And I think it's just the story tends to resonate with a lot of people. You know, I've been very fortunate to have a lot of support with this film, such as Linda. And I know a lot of that has to do with not only the content of the film, but also the passion behind the film, having that mentality of, you know, we're going to do this and nothing's going to stop us. So I think that's what influences people in being interested in the production.
So you've done a couple of projects prior to this.
Yes.
What does the Crossing of Tomas mean to you?
The Crossing of Tomas is very important to me. It essentially means everything to me. It's what I've devoted my life to. It is what my driving passion, and it's all fueled by the fact that, you know, like with the little girl that I did see in Mexico, I want to wake people up, and I want them to become aware of these issues. I want them to learn about things that they wouldn't be able to learn anywhere else, and especially like dealing with a film having to do with Juarez and the border, right? Us here, we have a unique perspective on it because we live here, so we have a different perspective than someone in, let's say, California. So what I'm driven by is making a production that'll reach to that audience. And, you know, there have been movies made about Juarez before, and, you know, some of them are kind of ridiculous. You see the credits and they're all made by people that don't have any Mexican ethnicity. And I want to change that. I want to shoot in the dangerous places. I want to bring this to people's living rooms. So that's what motivates me in making this production.
An estimated 30,000 lives have been lost because of drug-related crimes. 6,500, or more than 6,500 in Ciudad Juarez. Yeah. Is there any fear when you go shooting?
Absolutely not. Because the way that I look at it, bad things happen when people tend to let them happen. And, you know, I understand that there's circumstances that are very dangerous where you obviously just can't go to the middle of the street. But I think that by taking a production there, shooting in these dangerous areas, taking actors to places where you wouldn't normally find actors, it is dangerous, but I believe it makes a statement. And that statement is, regardless of what oppression exists, you cannot stop the creative, artistic community. And that is what fuels my passion.
Gotcha. Linda, when you first saw this script, your first thought?
You know, what I like about the script is the heart. It's a very emotional story. And it deals with a man and a little girl and his wife, and what happens when you lose everything. And that's difficult in Mexico because it's happening daily. People are losing their jobs, losing their lives, losing their homes, and people are dying. It's just a very sad situation. So his story really encompasses that emotionality that you could feel, you know, when you watch the news and you see these people who have lost it all. That's what gripped me, was the heart.
And you've worked on several different projects before you took on this script consultant role.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about your previous experiences with other projects?
Absolutely, yes. I worked on Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. That was my first experience in film. And there I met Steve Odekirk, and he was the writer-director. And he took me on to work with him in California. So I became his assistant, and then I became his reader, his story analyst. Then I became his development executive, and then I also helped him in production. So it was a very, very good learning experience for me. And from there, I went on to work at Disney. So I worked on a film called, what is it? Camp of the Elves. And I can't even remember. But it didn't last very long because we all got laid off. It's now back in development. Hopefully it'll get made. But there I met Rob Edwards. And Rob Edwards has also been a mentor to me because I'm also a screenwriter. And he came to El Paso and conducted a 3-day seminar. And Christopher was able to participate in it. It was awesome.
Yeah, you learn invaluable knowledge, especially from somebody at that level, you know, and Linda's also. And definitely has influenced me in terms of my writing, so I'm very grateful for that opportunity.
Going into TV news as a student, we always learned networking is really important.
Everything.
How important is it in the film industry?
Networking is essentially everything, and I'll give you a good example. I've been fortunate enough to get some help from some great, from great people. I met Gerald Alcantar and Rick Ramirez. They were from Fox. At the time, they came to UTEP. I've managed to keep in contact with them. They've been very helpful and influential in terms of my project. And one of the first things that I learned through, their advice was the importance of mentoring. The importance of networking, because through networking is what allows you to get opportunities that you wouldn't get otherwise. So that, I would say it's probably 50% networking and the rest is hard work, but networking is essential if you're going to survive in this industry.
I met your father on the set one time. Tell me a little bit about what they first thought about when you told them you're going to make this movie.
Well, I think, as Linda can attest to this, anytime you say that you want to get into the filmmaking industry, you know, people are like, what are you talking about? What are you doing? Get a 9-to-5 job. As the production process went along, though, at first what they thought was that I was crazy, essentially. But as the production went on and they started noticing, you know, actors coming on board, helping out. Araceli, right, she was in Machete, came on the set, helped out. And, you know, they got to see that and they became, wow, you know, like, how are you doing this? And that's pretty amazing. So it went from thinking I was crazy to essentially support, which I'm very grateful for.
And let's talk a little bit about something you mentioned earlier was financing.
Financing, yes.
What did you do?
Financing is everything in film production. Everything's so expensive, from the cameras, as you can tell, the lighting, Department of Photography, and everything. So what I knew is that I had to make a plan because, let's face it, I was starting from the bottom. I didn't know anything. I didn't know anyone. I was completely like flat broke. So what I decided to do was reach out to people within the community, particularly business owners. One business owner in particular, his name is Sam Baeza. He owns a huge air conditioning company in El Paso. It's called Sun Valley. He was very upfront, and his, you know, support financially into the project naturally got other people interested in the project, which made more and more money come in. And as I've been able to, you know, network my way and meet more people, get more assistance, it's gotten, you know, it's made money a lot easier to get now. So that's kind of at the point that I am now at.
How much of an influence do these finance people have on a film?
Well, in terms of an independent production such as mine, none. I'm really hands-on, so you know, you have to let them know in terms of what you're doing, because it's obviously costing money. If you have to reshoot some stuff, it's important to you know, justify why you need to reshoot stuff. So from my film's perspective, I have complete control, so I haven't ran into any problems with that. But you know, Linda can really attest to at least like the Hollywood structure and how that could play a role.
Funding is everything. Yeah, money. It's the money that you're using other people's money to make a movie. So you have to really have something really good. I worked on a movie called American Cowslip, and we started at a $400,000 budget. But because of the talent we were able to get, we got Rip Torn, Val Kilmer, Priscilla Barnes, a lot of Clarice Leachman. We managed to get 1.4 million. So it's, you know, investors believe in the project. If they believe in the project, they'll give more money. So we were fortunate.
But do they have a big say? Like
no, in terms of story and production, generally not, unless they're producers on the film. But the financiers generally do not have a lot of say in terms of story, unless they're like $1 million investors. Then maybe that'll be the difference.
Do you think there's a lack of Hispanics, Latinos in Hollywood?
There is such a lack. It is.
What needs to happen?
We need to just realize we can do it. You know, I'm Latina, or Hispanic, whatever you want to call it, but we have this debate daily. And I think that the reason why I've gotten where I've gotten is because I just chose to believe I could do it. And I actually just jumped in, and I got lucky. I made a lot of contacts, but you just got to get in there and do it right. Try to make movies. Christopher has been learning a lot hands-on, and which is why I admire him so much, because I understand the journey. It's a difficult one. So Hispanics need to just realize we can go to Sundance. We have so many great stories, and there's a lot of folklore in our traditions and rituals and what we do. We have a great culture. We just need to examine it.
Are there a lot of people in the industry that are going to universities seeking out Hispanic, Latino writers, producers?
You know, I know that Nickelodeon has, I know that there's a lot of fellowships through Disney and ABC. I don't know if they specifically are targeting the Hispanics, but I know that they're waking up. They're beginning to see that we're on the rise. You know, the Hispanic population is increasing. We're going to probably be the dominant, or we're not yet. We will be very soon the dominant, yeah.
So we saw Desi Arnaz, right?
Yeah.
And then 30 years later, George Lopez. 30 years later, do we have to wait 30 years for?
I don't think so.
Not at this point. So. And you know, especially talking to you know, Gerald and Rick, you know, and I know one of the big things right now in Hollywood is the fact that as the Hispanic population grows, the need for writers, directors, producers, anything having to do with the creative industry, I mean, they're going to definitely need people like that in order to fill those voids to make these movies. So I know right now there is a movement towards reaching out towards the, you know, Hispanic populations and trying to get people interested in film. Because I think one thing that's happening is just like, you know, having access to film school or film equipment. Just Latinos in general, in terms of you look at university percentages, there's so few of us with college degrees. And to do this kind of profession requires a ridiculous amount of money. And you know, I think there needs to be that effort and outreach, which is slowly happening, in getting these kids starting off at a young age who show interest in film, giving them equipment, you know, letting them experiment with editing systems. Because if we don't do that, we're just not going to progress in terms of getting Latinos in filmmaking. But the outreach is there. It's just going to take some time, and I don't think you have to wait 30 years.
Let's talk about your cast.
Yes.
And my niece was really excited when she learned that Jordan Lee, who people may know from Entourage, he made an appearance there, and he's a newborn vampire in the movie Eclipse. How did you land him to be part of your production?
It was very interesting. You know, he's an old buddy from high school. It turns out that he was actively pursuing acting in California. He's a member of the Actor Studio, so you know he's gotten trained by the best. And we talked a lot initially, and he's like, you know, Chris, what are you doing? I know you're making this production out here, and I'm telling him, well, you know, these are the challenges I'm having to overcome. You know, coming from El Paso, I know he's in California right now, and the discussion just kind of opened one day where he's like, well, you know what, you need a lead actor. Why don't I just go in and do it for you? And at first I was thinking, well, how am I going to afford you in my production? Well, luckily we're friends, and you know, through friendship you can, isn't networking right? You get a lot of favors, and you know that's how that happened. So yeah, he's been very supportive in terms of carrying the production, getting the word out there, and really doing an excellent job. You know, in terms of the developmental process of any filmmaker, we've had to shoot a lot of things where I wasn't happy with, had to do a lot of reshoots, and he's just a tremendous actor. He's always game for shooting something again, and he's kind of like a method actor, you know. He really gets into the role. He's not afraid to bleed, as crazy as that sounds. So he's really passionate about the project as well as other projects that he has.
When you were casting for the movie, did you envision like whatever actor, whatever they look like when you were casting?
Absolutely. I think.
And were you pleased with what you have?
Yeah, I'm very pleased with what I have, and I think that goes into any type of screenplay. As you're writing the characters, they take a life of their own, right? So you write them, they really find their own voice, and in your mind, you know exactly what type of person that is. In terms of the audition process, for example, I held auditions at UTEP. I had an overwhelming response, and what I realized was just how simple casting is. You know, people go up, they read their lines, and you can right away tell if they're right for the role or not. So yeah, in terms of casting the people, I'm very happy of what I was able to find here in this area, especially in Las Cruces, you know, in El Paso. There's so much talent there that just hasn't been given an opportunity because there's not enough projects like this. And you know, getting them involved, it's just amazing, nurturing that talent as a director and seeing that evolve into what they're becoming. So I definitely enjoy that.
Did you think that having Jordan Lee part of your production will bring in more people? Or?
I absolutely think so. It's been very helpful in terms of just anything having to do with the movie, because you know, it's very important in Hollywood, just any film, that your lead actor can carry the film and that is somebody that people can get behind. I always describe this as, you know, if this is football, as a director you're a coach and your actor is the quarterback. And if you have a solid lead actor, I mean, that influences everything around you, and you can build upon that person and make a great production.
So right now, your film is in post-production, correct?
We're currently still in the process of production.
Okay.
Reason being is that I felt it was imperative to you know, expand the film and also include more of Mexico into the film. So what I went ahead and did is I partnered up with it's a juvenile program for young kids in Juarez, Mexico. And you know, they're very artistic and very talented, but they don't have the proper equipment or the proper outlet to express their talents. So I decided to get involved with them. I have, you know, B. Taylor B. Taylor's an artist right now. He's up for a Grammy consideration, right? He's worked with Ray J, so he's pretty successful. And what I wanted to do was incorporate these kids into a soundtrack that he'd be a part of, or even, you know, Ray J singing on, to kind of help them out, and also because they make the film better. It makes it more authentic. So that's kind of my mission, is not only to make a great film, but to advance the Latino race as a whole and get these children, especially in Mexico, started on their filmmaking journeys. I really want to do that for them.
And Christopher, if someone wants more information about your film, when it's going to come out, maybe a little teaser, where can they go?
They can go to my website. It's, of course, www.thecrossingoftomas.com. I'd encourage them to check that out. And also on Facebook, check out Script for Screen. For anybody that's interested in screenwriting, definitely you want to contact Linda. You know, she has connections, she's intelligent, she's beautiful, so definitely you want to get a hold of her.
Yeah.
And how important is having that connection?
Very important. It's everything. You know, it's a collaborative process. You need people to make a movie. You need a lot of people to make a movie. So, and you need to have a good story. So that's what I try to do.
And what's next up for you after this is all complete?
That's an excellent question. After this, I definitely want to start promoting the movie, work out the distribution deal, see how far we can take it. I believe the potential, Sundance. We want to take over Sundance. So I definitely want to focus on that. I want to focus on also going back to Ciudad Juarez and getting these kids the opportunity to do filmmaking. So I want to start doing work over there in terms of helping nurture these young filmmakers and cultivating them. And then, just move on to my next project. So that's pretty much what I'm thinking of right now.
Any chance of showing that movie in Juarez?
That would be the ultimate goal.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we'll definitely work it out. I'm sure they'll see a guy running around with a camera crew in the streets. They'll think, when's that coming out? So I'm optimistic about that.
Have you been getting a lot of people waiting and seeing when are you going to be done with this?
I have, and they're excited about it. But as the #1 rule that I've learned is, what's important is make it come out and make sure it's good.
All right, Christopher and Linda, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carlos.
And thank you so much for joining us. Remember, you can see this entire interview online at krwg.org. While you're there, you can visit our blog and follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. I'm Carlos Correa. Until next time.